What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners video for today's 14-game MLB main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. You got a whole bunch of teams, a lot of hot weather across the country, and some positive hitting parks, so you know what that means. It's time to put in your picks to win that free month of Awesemo Plus. Right now, like the video and comment your double dong pick, the single guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today. If you comment that down below, you'll be entered to win. So right now, like the video and comment your double dong pick down below to win your free month of Awesemo Plus. But as always, let's get on to the top pitching on today's slate. And Griffin Canning going against Detroit should be the top owned option industry-wide. Canning gets 3.5 implied runs against him, which are a slate low, and he's expected to be the #1 owned pitcher on DraftKings with 35% and on FanDuel with 30%, while he'll be #2 owned on Yahoo with 29%. Canning has good strikeout ability with a 25.2% K rate and a 13.6% swinging strike rate, but he allows over a 208 ISO to both sides of the plate, so there is some risk, despite Detroit's 26.6% K rate and 72 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. I'm not breaking any new ground by telling you that Detroit is a bad team. Griffin Canning as chalk, though, does come with some risk with the power that he gives up. Still a very nice strikeout spot for him, though, and I imagine I'll come close to the field on him with his price depressed today as well. Noah Syndergaard at the Chicago White Sox should also be popular today with 4.2 implied runs against him. Syndergaard will be the #1 owned player on Yahoo with 33%, and will be #3 owned on DraftKings with 26%. Syndergaard's salary is up, and his 4.04 xFIP and 23.8% K rate aren't the most impressive at that price point, but the matchup versus the White Sox and their 26% K rate versus right-hand pitching does offer Syndergaard some opportunity. I feel like we've talked about Syndergaard a lot in these videos and how he tends to blow up his chalk. I don't mind the spot, though. The White Sox are a poor hitting team with some strikeout ability, but the park factors are going to go against Syndergaard, so it's kind of a wash for me. I imagine I'll be close to the field, but probably a bit under it. And Joe Musgrove at Cincinnati will also be a bit popular today with 5.2 implied runs against him. Musgrove is mostly relevant just on DraftKings, where he'll be #2 owned with 28% expected ownership. Musgrove is extremely cheap, but doesn't have good strikeout stuff with a 20.5% K rate, and he struggles more versus lefties, the 1.4 whip and a 188 ISO allowed that could be bad in a hot hitting friendly park. Musgrove's price will make him project well as value, but I do question it here going against Cincinnati. The team is hitting well in a hot day at a good hitting park. Onto our next corner, the top stacks on the slate, and a Dodger stack going against Kyle Freeland looks like that top team today. The Dodgers get 7.5 implied runs, which are a slate high, and though they failed hard yesterday versus John Gray, Freeland is worse with an 18.4% K rate and a 5.2 xFIP allowed. The Dodgers right-handed batters will have the better matchup with a superior 3.1 xFIP and a 1.2 whip for Freeland versus lefties, so guys like AJ Pollock and Justin Turner should gain some appeal. The Dodgers failing so noticeably yesterday should drive down their ownership a bit, with people reluctant to go back there today. I do think it is worth going back there, even though I'm more intrigued by many stacks of right-handed bats. A Mets stack versus Reynaldo Lopez should also find some ownership today with 4.8 implied runs for them. The Mets top 5 projects for high ownership with a park upgrade against Lopez's 5.2 xFIP and 4.6% home run rate. The Mets prices are appealing as a value play, but as a chalk play, they seem less compelling, unless their implied run total jumps up a bit more throughout the day. I do like the Mets, and a low-owned Mets stack did well for us in the Four Corners video within the last week, but as chalk, it is a bit of a risky spot here without a high team total, and a guy in Lopez who's actually been looking pretty good in his last few starts. And a Washington stack versus Julio Teheran should also find some ownership today with 5.4 implied runs for them. Teheran's 5.2 xFIP definitely isn't great, but a shockingly low 1.3 whip and 218 batting average allowed may not be the best for full stacks of Washington. The hot weather and a good hitting park are pluses for Washington, whose lefties like Adam Eaton, Juan Soto, and Matt Adams get a better matchup, given that Teheran's got an inferior 1.5 whip and 19.3% K rate versus left-handed batters. You're mostly paying some pretty stiff prices on Washington, so I'm not as inclined to go there against Teheran. I do think they're a bit overowned for what their chances are of being a top stack today. Now onto our next corner, the lower owned options on today's slate. The Yankee stack going against Taylor Clark is one of those teams. The Yankees get 7 implied runs, and Clark has been obliterated by power this year with over 289 ISOs allowed to both sides of the plate, along with a 5.6 xFIP and just a 17% K rate. A hot day at Yankee Stadium is a big opportunity for a Yankee stack who has a 209 ISO and a 118 WRC plus, in which only Aaron Judge currently projects for ownership as a one-off. There's one guy in particular I'll talk about in a second who jumped out to me, but overall this Yankee stack appeals to me quite a bit, with Clark having shown nothing at all so far in a major league stint. Jake Odorizzi at Miami also intrigues me with 3.8 implied runs against him. Odorizzi is generally better at home, but a pitching park and Miami's 25.3% K rate versus right-hand pitching works well with Odorizzi's own 25.5% K rate. Odorizzi typically doesn't go too deep in games, but with low ownership and a low implied total with his 1.2 whip, it seems like a nice overlooked spot for Odorizzi. With some strikeout upside and a park that should limit damage, I think this is a pretty good spot for Jake Odorizzi at not much ownership. A San Francisco stack gets a rare mention here on the Four Corners going against Drew Smyly with 4.9 implied implied runs for them. Smiley's mostly pitched in Texas, but he has allowed 49% hard contact, a 1.8 whip, and a 6 xFIP on the year, while San Francisco gets a park upgrade on what should be a hot Philadelphia day. Smiley projects for high ownership on DraftKings, given that San Francisco's got a bad 76 WRC plus and 136 ISO versus left-hand pitching, but San Francisco can be interesting leverage and value at low ownership because of that. It's a huge park upgrade here for San Francisco, and Smiley really hasn't been good, even though pitching in Texas is going to make most pitchers look bad. So I think it's a spot here worth some exposure for San Francisco, especially if Smiley's ownership stays as high as it is right now. And Zach Gallen versus Minnesota interests me a bit, with 4.3 implied runs against him. It's a noticeably low team total for Minnesota in a pitching-friendly park, and that makes Gallen's 1.2 whip and .099 ISO allowed appealing. Minnesota's killed right-handed pitchers with a 229 ISO and a 114 WRC plus, but Gallen has a 28% K rate that offers some low-owned potential, despite a scary Minnesota lineup. Nelson Cruz was just ruled out before I started filming this video, and that makes this an even better matchup for Gallen, a guy who's been really good on the year, showed some strikeout upside, and has limited damage extremely well. Now on to our last corner, the one-offs, and Luke Voit going against Taylor Clark is one that jumped out to me. Clark has allowed a 309 ISO and a 5.3 xFIP to right-handed batters, while Voit has a 242 ISO and a 149 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching at a cheap price relative to the rest of the Yankees lineup. Voigt's got a ton of pop and his price is down a bit. I like the spot for him against the guy in Clark who's going to give up some power to production to somebody today. Justin Turner versus Kyle Freeland also jumps out to me. Turner has a 152 WRC plus and a 249 ISO versus left-hand pitching, with Freeland worse versus right-handed batters with a 1.4 whip and a 4.5 xFIP allowed. It's a game at Coors, so anybody can go off, but Turner getting that right-handed matchup versus Freeland seems like a nice spot for him, with lefties much worse versus Freeland overall. And Tyler Austin versus Drew Smyly is a very cheap one-off I like today. As I mentioned, Austin is cheap and is expected to hit in the number 2 hole with a 266 ISO going against Smyly's 6.4 xFIP, 1.7 whip, and 247 ISO allowed to right-handed batters. Austin's either hitting it out of the park or striking out, and I think with Smyly's strikeout upside being pretty low, it's a nice spot to go to Tyler Austin today as a value play. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on today's 14-game main slate. So right now, like the video, and if you want to win that free month of Osmo Plus, comment your double dong pick down below. Yesterday, we had just one double dong in Major League Baseball where you guys were still able to get it right in the comments. This guy right here, William 1967, got it right with Eric Hosmer, the only guy who hit 2 home runs yesterday going against David Hess. Shocking that David Hess would give up power, but there it is. So good job, William. If you want to get that prize of that free month of Osmo Plus, email me at chris@osmo.com. And for everybody else, if you want to win your free month just like William 1967, right now, like the video and comment your double dong pick down below. But if you don't want to wait for the god of double dongs to shine upon you, you can also use this promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first month of Osmo Plus. Get all the ownership projections, the player projections, you just plug right in the Fantasy Cruncher, the deep dive column, the lineup builder tool, the top stacks tool, a million different things that'll help you make better MLB DFS lineups every single day. So use that promo code Switch and Hedge right now for half off your first month of Osmo Plus. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'm there for you guys if you have any questions, anything you want to tweet me. And of course, pushing out my own content as well, my podcast, the NFL video we did yesterday previewing the DraftKings salaries for week 1. A lot of cool stuff out there if you're a DFS fan, or if you just want to hang out with me some more because we're buddies. We're spending a lot of time together. So right now, either way, go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. If you want to make sure you see the 4 corners every day, subscribe and hit that notification bell to get that, as well as all of our other great content on this channel notified to you right away. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with another 4 corners video. So thank you guys for watching and good luck.